Hi everyone. Let us start today with the third chapter of your supplementary reader, The Selfish Giant. The selfish giant, right? At times it happens like we as a human being, we all tend to become selfish at one point of our life or the other. But there are also some people in this world who are totally selfless. For those people, others are always at priority. Others come first and then they consider themselves. Have you ever wondered that these two categories of people that I told you, one is the selfish, the other one is the selfless? What is the difference between these two people? See, even in your surroundings, in your environment, in your day-to-day life, if you observe, you will find that this so-called selfless people, they may not be rich, they may not have a lot of materialistic possession, but however, they are the most happiest person. But whereas this so-called selfish people, they may have many things, material things, but they are not happy inside. There is something always lacking. They seek for happiness, they seek for joy. Now let us find out, as the name of the chapter is The Selfish Giant. This particular giant in this chapter, was he also looking for happiness, looking for something else? Or he was all satisfied with whatever he had, like he was happy as he is a giant? And one more thing before we start the chapter, I just want to tell you that you, I, or whosoever, the way we treat others, we get treated the same way. Now, if you spread hatred, you will get hate in return. If you spread love, you will get love in return. That's what we will get to see even in the end of this chapter as well. Now let me go into the chapter. So just create an imaginary scene in your mind, a picture that there was a lovely garden in a city where kids used to play there after the school time. I repeat, it's after the school time, okay, not during the school hours. Not that missing their studies and all. I hope you understood what I mean. Kids used to play after the school time. There were numerous grass flowers, peach tree there, and these kids, they used to cheer up, and even birds used to sing mesmerizing songs. And especially in the spring, spring season, what happens? Plant brings out flowers, but whereas in winter, the very same flower in this particular garden, they were giving sweet fruits. So the kids were happy like never before. But this happiness did not survive long, as ultimately one day the so-called selfish giant arrived. So where was he that he arrived? Actually, this particular garden belonged to this selfish giant. But the selfish giant was at his friend's home for 7 years. But now he had returned back. And after coming back, he starts scolding the children playing in the garden. And soon he raised the wall around the yard, around the garden. Now the children were not allowed to play in the garden. They were not allowed to get into the garden. And even spring was over. Winter comes in. And what happens in winter? The trees, the grasses and the birds, even they were sad, as because there was no one to hang around in the twigs of the trees or listen to the songs of the bird, because the children were not allowed. Trees stopped blooming and even fruiting, while the bird stopped singing. Now next, the spring comes in. But even during this particular spring season, the children were not allowed to enter into the garden. And as a result, the trees, these birds and everything, all were sad. And usually, since this particular story is written as per the European countries, like the United Kingdom, and the winter out there is of long duration. Then after winter, the only season that they have is spring in place of summer. So it so happened that once one flower raised his head. But when he raised his head, he saw that there was a notice board by the giant, where it was written that children and all were not allowed. So by seeing that, even this particular flower was not happy. Now, as the time passed by, the same particular giant who has stopped the entrance of the children into the garden, he became restless. He was not able to understand that why such a long winter as compared to the other years, and the snow had covered the grasses with white sheet. There was frost, frost which becomes a kind of in your refrigerator. Like if you open the refrigerator, especially there is a place called ice box. You'll find on the corners at times there are ice because of the cold temperature. That's called frost. So the entire garden, the grasses and all, everything was covered with snow and frost. There was a frost sheet all over. Entire trees with silver color all were covered up. And this particular snow had invited the north wind. What do you mean by north wind? It means the winds which comes from the north direction. And along with the north winds, there was hail in the garden. Hail broke all the chimney and even the roof. But after this winter, then as the spring arrives, one day a particular child made a hole in the garden, in the wall of the garden, and entered the garden. Now as the spring came and this particular child entered, the birds started singing. After which the giant woke up. He had not heard songs for a long time. Birds chirping felt like king's musician to him. The giant woke up and looked out. He saw one children playing in the garden and trees, welcoming the kids by lowering their twigs. These particular trees were welcoming the kids by lowering their twigs. The giant understood that why spring came so late. This small kid in the garden, this giant finds this particular small kid in the garden alone, trying to climb the tree. And a little bit of frost and snow were still there on that tree. The tree had already lowered his branches, but the kid was still too small to climb. The giant approached secretly from the behind and helped the kid to climb. The kid was happy as he could climb up on top of the tree, and he kissed the giant's cheek. By seeing this particular children kissing the giant's cheek, but the other children were there, the other children were frightened by the giant and they started running. But when they saw the giant helping this small boy, they also became happy. The giant asked the kid to stay there, and after that, the giant he himself broke the wall. And now onwards, children started playing into the garden and they thanked the giant. The giant asked the children about that particular small kid. Other kids replied that they were also not knowing about that little kid. They told that they also saw that kid for the first time. Days passed. The giant was still missing him because he was the only boy who kissed him on his cheeks. Days passed, years passed, and the giant grew old. But he never forgot the kid. And now, this particular giant, he did not fear from the winter, as he knew winter will also pass by very soon. But one day, after many years, he saw the same small kid playing on the same tree. The giant became happy and ran towards him, shouting that, "Where were you?" Once he reached near the kid, he saw big nail scratches on his hands and the feet. The giant was in anger and started asking to the kid, how this happened. The child replies, "These are wounds of love." What does it mean? This particular boy was actually an angel. He says that he had come to take the giant to the paradise. The child also says that once you have led me to the garden, and today I have come to take you to the paradise. So see, this particular giant who was a selfish, when he stopped the children from entering into the wall, entering into the garden, and when he erected the wall, after that he was sad, as the winter was long and he was only wondering when the winter will pass by. There was nobody in the garden. He was all alone. But after he allowed the children to play back, to enter into the garden, he was no more worried about the winter days. He was happy seeing the children playing. And the children were happy because the giant allowed the children to play. So this particular giant, by giving happiness to the children, he himself received happiness. For this particular chapter, there is a movie also. The movie was written way back in the year 2013. And even the name of the movie is same, The Selfish Giant. You can even have a look, go through that. It's an animated movie. That's a good one. So, what do you learn? What is the moral of this selfish giant? In short, if I sum up this chapter, this story particularly suggests that giving happiness to others will make us feel happy in our life as well. The story is, it's about a giant who was really selfish by nature. A tall, massive and ugly looking character. And neither he liked nor he allowed the children playing into his garden. But even he was not happy when he did not allow the children playing into the garden. And once he allowed, we know what happened after that. So there are basically two seasons described in this chapter. One is this winter, the other one is spring. So what does this spring and winter symbolize? Spring is a symbol of happiness, whereas the winter months, the cold and gloomy winter, it symbolizes suffering. As if you remember what I said, there were no flowers in the giant's garden, which means that the happiness was nowhere to be seen. So my dear children, treat others the way you want yourself to be treated. Alright? The way you treat teachers, the way you treat your elders, your parents, your friends, your siblings, you will be also treated back the same way. You will disrespect your parents, you will disrespect your friends, and if you expect in return love, happiness, without spreading love and happiness, that won't be possible. Alright? So I hope you understood this particular chapter. Still, if you have any doubt, please get back to me. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Take care.